Between the two of them.
The inside of Coates.
Marcus gets too heavily involved.
And that's Whitehead and Coates.
Hi everybody, welcome along to Wednesday evening, which only means one thing, of course. It is the Virtual Reality Racing Club World Endurance League, and incredibly we are already at round 4, so the halfway stage of the campaign will be reached at the end of today. We are at Monza, which is mega. Also mega that our special guest commentator this week is Becky Aparicio. Becky, thank you very much for joining us. And yeah, I'm not quite sure you know what you're letting yourself in for, but it'll be really good to... I'll catch up with you in a minute. We're just going to run through the dates that we've got coming up. Obviously, we've had Vegas Brands Valencia last weekend and a break from the Jack Smith dominance last weekend. He was still on the podium, though, and did very well. We'll come to those results a little bit later on. So Monza this evening. Next week, we've got Scott Woodwiss back with us for Le Mans. Then we're at Spa, and we wrap up round 7 and 8 with Zandvoort and Sepang. And the race format remains at 2 half-hour races plus 15 minutes of qualifying. The championship table is thus, remember it's one round dropped, and the red scores are the ones that are dropped. You can see Jack Smith's drop score is actually more than most of the other people have scored in their rounds anyway. But hey-ho, we'll see what Jack can do tonight. He's certainly up there with Thomas Potter in the practice session so far. But Jack leading from brother Oliver Gibson. Tom Potter in third with Lee Piercy fourth, Randy Carroll and Chris Blakey. Dan Heaps, who took a win last week, as did Tom Potter, is in seventh. Then Scott Bugner, who didn't start last week. We did start a petition to get Scott back on. He did respond by saying that he'd heard one of my earliest broadcasts on YouTube. Bless you, Scott. I can't see him on the timing screen at the moment, so I think he's maybe opted out. Christian Gillian ninth from Alex Walker wraps up the top 10. And let's move on to 11th place. Paul Laramie from Rich Hayden, who had his first outing last week and had a quick chat with us off air before we came on. Then John Jones, Cat Potter in 14th from Jack Dickerson and Sam Walton. And fingers crossed that Kenny Press and Lee Morgan will be able to join us at some point. So Kenny is in fact with us today by the look of it, so that's good. Quick summary of last week on the street circuit at Valencia. Jack Smith grabbing the most points, although he didn't win the either of the races, but was top point scorer again. Thomas Potter and Rich Hayden second and third, and driver of the round going to Dan Heaps. And Becky, you'll need to keep an eye open for who you think might be a good driver of the round for this week, and we'll do it on Messenger on Discord so that viewers don't hear and drivers don't hear, and we'll probably do that towards the end of the second race. So got a Valencia graphic up there rather than this week's at Monza, so I think someone trying to catch us out a little bit there, but not to worry. Nice reminder of what a great track Valencia was last week, a lot more flowing than the first street circuit we had at Vegas, but hopefully got the correct video teed up, which is Jack Smith, who is going to take us around a flying lap of Monza. So getting ready to ride on board with Jack on the famous Monza circuit. It's one that I've been watching at for a long time. I've never ever called a race on this configuration though, believe it or not, or anywhere at Monza for that matter. So first time for me as we join Jack going across the start finish line and down into the S's turn 1, Rettifilo. And the one thing that strikes me, particularly the onboard, is how long some of these straights and corners are. The first corner isn't, so it comes out of turn 1 and we go through Curva Grande, which is turn 2, named after a similar corner at Blighton Park. No, it isn't, it's the other way around actually, but it's funny that I've heard some top line drivers talk about Curva Grande at Blighton so many more times than I've heard it mentioned at Monza. But anyway, we come out of turn 2 and now down into turn 3 S's around. Once we get out of here, we'll flick it back round turn 4, which is the right hander, and then down into turn 5, second part of the Lesmo complex. We're going to go through now, and then a sweeping left hander once we get out of here, and Jack taking it all the way over the curves there, under the first of the gantries. We've got another gantry coming up in a minute, or bridge. As we head down towards the Ascari chicane, which I think has been catching people out. So this long sweeper is turn 6, heading down into turn 7, the Ascari chicane here. And you can see why it's actually quite very nearly caught Jack out there. So, well, that taught me, didn't it? So here we go, another couple of gantries to go under as we make our way down to the Parabolica, which is turn 8, the final turn on the lap. And boy, does this lap pass quickly. It's 1 minute 45 or thereabouts, comparable with the GT World Challenge. This configuration being used since the year 2000. So out the Parabolica and up across the line, 1 minute 45.944. Thomas Potter a shade quicker than that in the qualifying, which is underway now. But that is a lap of Monza. Qualifying is underway and a proper chance to talk to Becky. Thanks for joining us, Becky. Do you know what you let yourself in for tonight?
No, I don't think I ever do with anything I do, but no, absolute pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
It's a pleasure, and thank you for joining us. Really do appreciate it. This was, I was talking to Rich about getting co-commentators on for this, and then we saw you on the telly, which was a pure coincidence. I said, I know, we'll ask Becky if she wants to have a go. And you have raced. I know you dearly love to get back into racing. You contested Formula Woman, and you've raced in a couple of the VRRC's C1s, including the 24-hour race at Silverstone. So you have the experience. It would be great to get you back involved in racing in some ways. If anyone's watching this that wants someone who's relatively new to racing but more than capable of delivering a great job PR-wise and on track, Becky's the person to talk to. So get in touch with us if you do want to do that. I gather you've done a bit of homework, which a lot of people don't do. So kudos to you and the other half helping you with that. What are your thoughts on Monza?
Oh, Monza, it's a great track, isn't it? It's yes, you sweep in turns, and again those curves to get caught out, as we see with Jack's lap there. Yeah, you ride the curbs a little bit too much, you get a little bit screwy on the exits, but yeah, once you nail a lap, it's quite a satisfying lap to get round in one piece.
And for me, Monza has always been up there in terms of Silverstone GP, which you have raced at. That must have been a bit of a dream come true to get a debut weekend there.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's such an iconic track, and again, you just think of all the kind of moments in the past that have been there. It was shortly after the incident with Max and Lewis coming out of COP, so to kind of go around the track and be like, oh, this is where this happened, and yeah, it was an absolute privilege to do stuff like that.
And there was a bunch of touring car drivers right in that race with you as well, wasn't there? I think Jade and Josh Kirk and people like that. It was Tom Ingram in the 24 that year. He does a lot of C1s, but you're in exalted company for sure.
Yeah, I know he did some of the later rounds. So after he was actually crowned champion that year, he was up at Snetterton, and I will always take credit. We beat all the touring cars every time we were out on track against them. We ran out of fuel is not the point. Technically, we still beat them on track, so I will always take that with me.
Absolutely brilliant. That's the great thing about C1 racing. It's a fantastic leveler and a great way for people to get experience of racing against, real world drivers with a lot of experience. And similarly with sim racing, and Thomas Potter is really coming of age here. Thomas is just old enough now to enter junior scholarships for next year. So I've been sort of talking to his dad about maybe getting him involved in the Fiesta or Ginetta scholarship at the end of the year. Ginetta have published their dates, so if you're watching this and into the world of karting, or you've got youngsters that are karting currently, Ginetta scholarship is in October this year. The VRRC are going to announce their Fiesta Scholarship as well, which will be at Blighton too. I mentioned Curva Grande. All this sort of flows together a little bit sometimes by accident. Both are at Blighton. I believe the VRRC ones are at Blighton, but the club are not going to announce their scholarship, I don't think, until they get a couple of weeks respite from racing, because they're very, very busy racing at the moment, and they're going to launch their big Driven by Racing show day in November as well at the same time. So a couple of things to look forward to from BRSCC. As we continue with qualifying, Thomas Potter on provisional pole, Jack Smith in second, Oliver Gibson third from Chris Blakey, who had, Becky had a great weekend, Chris Blakey. He was racing in the 750 Motor Club BMW, he's had 2 class wins. So Chris, who's on screen now, the black and yellow, similar livery to his BMW. And I'm not sure whether he's probably more successful on track for real than he is in this, but that's taking nothing away from the sim performance here, because he's currently in P4 and always one of our front runners.
You know, amazing work, and what you probably find with a lot of sim races and real world races, it's integratable, isn't it? You go and practice on the sim if you can. It's what I did when I was prepping for my C1 races. I'd always get the sim out to, again, familiarise myself with the track and everything.
What sort of rig have you got?
Got a Fanatec, so it was my partner's sim that does get hijacked quite regularly, but I find him quite useful.
Are you quicker than him?
It depends. Actually, funny enough, when we were practicing for C1 stuff, I would beat him, but in anything a little bit faster. So in kind of your Formula cars, he'd always be the time to beat, which I suppose was always helpful. At least there was something to aim for, and I knew there was always little bits of room for improvement, but it was always a good competition between us.
Excellent. I hope we're going to have some good competition today. Still Thomas Potter pole from Jack Smith, Oliver Gibson third, Chris Blakey fourth. So that's pretty much stayed the same. Daniel Heaps, the young Irish driver, is in 5th place. Rich Hayden was 4th in practice, but he's currently 6th on timing at the moment. Now, because I've got 2 gadgets open basically. I've got my iPad open with the timing on and my MacBook screen with the coverage on, and I don't screenshot stuff, so I have to start scribbling things down, and we've got the pencil of doom, so as soon as I start writing times down, they change. And literally, just as I wrote Thomas Potter at the top of my bit of paper, Becky, Jack Smith's gone on provisional pole.
Yeah, but Daniel Heaps did set the fastest first sector on his current lap.
Good spot. Yep, he's in the we said it kind of looks like a Cars livery, but from the Disney film. As Jack Smith does a little bit of straight on there, so he's really trying. It was fascinating to watch Jack trying to work his way back up towards the lead in the second race last week. He was really on the absolute limit with the car, trying to get back on. But as I say, still leads the championship, and I think he's a little bit on the limit here again today. Dare I write Jack down in pole at the moment? Probably not, because we've still got 3 minutes to go here. Let's have a quick shift down the timing. So we've got, Smith, Potter, Heaps now third, Oliver Gibson fourth, and Chris Blakey, Lee Piercy, Rich Hayden, Paul Laramie, Alex Walker ninth, Christian Gillian in 10th, Andy Carroll 11th, Cat Potter in 12th from John Jones, Kenny Press. Okay, Kenny's showing on the timing screen, but not having done any laps, which is a little bit of a pity. So I hope Kenny might be able to join us later. Sometimes it works that way on a Wednesday evening, with some drivers coming in after qualifying and just coming in off the back of the grid for the first race. So Jack Smith then has parked up as we watch Lee Piercy talking about finding some press cuttings on. Oh, and Lee gets a gyration into the barrier. That's probably going to be qualifying over, I'm guessing. How long have we got? 2 minutes 25 to go, but very easy to lose it around here. Potter still in P2. Daniel Heaps is, I think, probably the best qualifying position that he has had. A 7th and 8th. Missed the Vegas round, which opened it up. Got 7th at Brands Hatch and 8th last week. I nearly said weekend, and this is one of the things I get caught out on, is talking about weekends rather than weekdays, unfortunately. Old commentary habits tend to die a little bit hard as we watch Rich Hayden relegated now. Lee Piercy is in 7th and Rich Hayden in 8th. I found some more cuttings about Lee Piercy's dad. He's probably going to get fed up with me talking about his dad, but I'm of the age that remembers watching Jeff Piercy racing on the short ovals at Arena Essex, and he was a very quick driver, British 1600 Hot Rod Champion, or Group A Hot Rod Champion as they call them at Arena Essex back in the day. And Lee has carried on the fast genes. He's in 7th place at the moment, chasing Paul Laramie, who was, like Chris Blakey, racing in the 750 BMWs at the weekend. And I think did okay. And he's running in 6th position there in the... Oh, and Becky, that is what you're going to get used to. The curse of the commentator.
Yeah, you've always got to be careful what you say.
I know. We're actually banned from using it on ITV. Or the curse of the camera is the other one. The onboard camera tends to be a little bit of a curse. So they don't like us mentioning it because it frightens drivers off from having it. And a lot of championships have now put a regulation in that if you're told you've got to have it, you've got to have it. Although there was one driver a couple of weeks ago, and I won't say which formula it was because I don't want to embarrass them, but we weren't allowed to tell the driver that they were having the onboard camera until the morning of the racing because it would have freaked them out on the Saturday and the first thing on Sunday, which was a bit of a shame really, because I think just everybody should just go for it and take it as an opportunity. Our onboard this week, I don't know if I'm allowed to say, actually, one of our former co-commentators, Henry Foote, is having our onboard with the Minis this weekend at Thruxton. So I hope Henry's going to come and join us again for commentating on the Mini Championship, which we've got coming up soon. But yeah, he's got our onboard this week, and he was asking me. A lot of drivers come up and say, "Can we have the onboard?" And it is always a bit difficult, but I can put names forward generally, and whether the directors go with that is another matter or not. So qualifying is, the clock has run down, and it's Jack Smith on provisional pole at the moment from the Flying Teapot, then Daniel Heaps in 3rd, followed by Oliver Gibson in 4th place, Chris Blakey currently in 5th, and then 6th position Paul Laramie. So we've got our usual crop of drivers up towards the top. I can't spell Laramie on my bit of paper. That's not a little bit annoying, but I managed to do that now and sort that out. But Jack Smith, good performance again, maintains 100% record, Becky, in terms of our qualifying.
Yeah, definitely the one to beat, isn't he?
Yeah, he's had a few wobbles last week with various things happening, which was interesting. Let me just run down the top 6 very quickly again. Jack Smith, Thomas Potter in P2, Daniel Heaps in 3rd, Chris Blakey 4th from Oliver Gibson, Paul Laramie wrapping up our top 6. And we'll have our podium interviews, or qualifying podium interviews, in just a minute. So our qualifying podium interviews get underway with our driver of the round last weekend, Daniel Heaps, who's brought the form forward to the Monza configuration this evening, and 3rd place in qualifying. Daniel, that's a really good start to the evening. He's not there. Daniel Heaps not there. We'll try and sort our audio with Daniel. Just
I'm here. I didn't know. I was still driving. I didn't know I was in the interview.
Right, well, congratulations again on last week, mate. And yeah, momentum carried forward by the look of it.
Yeah, I'm happy with that result, and I'm happy with how it went. Had a little scare going through. It's scary, but we managed to make it through.
Is that the most difficult part of the circuit? I mean, Steve, our producer and director, was saying to us earlier on that that's where most people seem to be having some issues. So, and you just mentioned it yourself. So is that the tricky bit of the track?
Yeah, for me it's scary, and the bend before it, for some reason that bend I keep losing it. But yeah, managed to get a good time in, and hopefully I can do well in the race now.
I mean, I think the previous ones that you had, just looking 7th and 8th, obviously you weren't with us at Vegas with the drop score for Vegas, but 7th and 8th to 3rd after taking an excellent win last week as well. It's definitely going the right way. So, what have you been up to over the weekend? Were you out in action at the weekend? I can't remember what your calendar was for last weekend.
I was sorry, I can't tell you over the game, but I was at a track day on Friday. I was now too young to do track day, so I used to swap over the bands, and I got caught. So that wasn't great.
Hey, well, you've got to try, haven't you?
Yeah, I've been doing it for ages. I have been, and I just got caught now.
So what's the repercussions on that? I mean, do you get banned from that, or do you get fined, or what happens?
I didn't get banned, luckily, because I never caused hassle on the track, so it just went on as usual. Just you're not allowed out on the track. Luckily, still allowed in the Paso, so that was grand.
Nice. That's good. It's quite funny. So thoughts on the race starting P3? How much time have you done on the Monza configuration?
I think last time I checked the live time, I've done about 20 something laps, so
Okay.
starting to get the feel of it a bit, and yeah, hopefully I'm hoping this race goes on well.
Yeah, fingers crossed. So and obviously you're in pretty good company again. You got Thomas and Jack Smith up ahead. Oliver Gibson behind you. You've got Chris Blakey alongside. So Chris also had a good weekend, taking a couple of class wins in his BMW for real. So we've got a lot of on-form drivers. So it should give us a good race, I think.
Yeah, I'm excited for it, and I'm hoping I don't spin out, if I'm being honest. So
No, you'll be good. If you had a moment in qualifying, that's what qualifying's for. Get that out of the way, Daniel. So,
yeah.
Oh, by the way, I need to ask. Actually, we call you Daniel, which is very formal because that's the entry. But do you have a preferred Danny, Dan, or what do we?
I don't really mind whatever you call me. Most people call me Daniel, but
Okay, fair enough.
yeah, some people call me Dan.
Okay, we'll stick with Daniel then for the moment. If it gets annoying, just tell us. Good luck for the race. Thanks for talking to us, Daniel. Well done on P3 in qualifying.
Thank you.
Cheers, mate. And P2, becoming a regular thing now, we get to chat with the Flying Teapot, Thomas Potter. Well done, Thomas. Pole for a long time. When I've been, like last week, dipping into looking at practice sessions, you've been top of the stack. And, you know, P1, P2, probably not a great deal in it, but you're off the front and you've got a racing prospect with Jack. How are you feeling about that?
Well, honestly, pretty happy with P2. I mean, I would have always said I like to P1, but then I've realised I'm starting the inside, so I'll just say it was strategic P2 planning. But many laps either in my 0.5s and sometimes even 0.4s I could have had. Like in my practice, just couldn't hook a one up together, but well done to Jack and get him that lap in the short span of 15 minutes.
Nice one. That's nice to hear you saying that, and obviously putting the work in. Have you got a ringer doing your homework again this week, or have you managed to do the homework yourself this week?
This time I had to do it myself, unfortunately.
Was there any fallback from that last week? Is anybody listening in and go, "Oi"?
And Max is actually commentating on my own channel, which is so he's probably not going to be too pleased with that, but basically, well, no, not really. I think my mum doesn't mind as long as the homework gets done.
Yeah, as long as you get it sorted out, and yeah, that's the main thing. What about this weekend? I know we're hoping to see you and your sister at some of the touring car events. I'm guessing you'll probably come along to Croft if you're not racing at other things, but I guess Thruxton's a bit far for you this weekend, is it?
Sim, I think I'm going. I'm either going to that or Brands Hatch American Festival of Speed, so you might end up seeing me at Thruxton, and if not, well, I won't be too far away. I'll be at Brands.
Oh, you've got to come to Thruxton. To be fair, there's actually more racing on at Brands Hatch because we lost the Toka Juniors and they haven't got the Mini Miglias in support this weekend at Thruxton. It's quite a lightweight schedule. We all felt at Snetterton a couple of weeks ago that we could have done with another couple of races. I think as it worked out, F4, there was a communication failure actually on the Sunday, and we lost the F4 race in the morning, but then reran it in the lunch break. So that kind of helps when you haven't got too many races. But I think Brands is a good place to go. Did you get free tickets for Brands, or are you paying?
We've got some free tickets from a team, which I want to say huge thanks as well as the guys been helping me with myself. So I really appreciate that. Now I'm not sure how to pronounce his name, which is a bit.
Well, okay, that's right. What team are you with?
Good question. I haven't really been because I've kind of forgot. I've just been doing laps after laps. But
Yeah. My son's after a ticket, so if anyone wants to sell him a cheap ticket, then I'm sure he'd be delighted to hear from anyone that's got a ticket for brands. He wants to go and see the Legends cars this weekend, so little plug for him and that one. So yeah, interesting P2. So looking good for you from the start, and a good reaction generally from your win last week.
well, yeah. Hopefully, I can get alongside Jack on this one, and well, hopefully get a lead into T1, and hopefully Daniel can follow through over his own behind Jack. So as long as he doesn't help out Jack, I'll be fine.
Yeah, I guess that's going to be interesting to go. So, have you had a look at, so in terms of real world against sim, obviously here in the sim we've got a Ferrari and Porsche front row. How does that compare with maybe what you've seen possibly as part of your studies in looking at real world racing at Monza?
To be honest, I think it's around about the same. I mean, on the sim, the Ferrari definitely has an advantage, I feel, as I've been doing some testing. It seems to just be a bit more grip on this track. Yet again, the Porsche's got more of an advantage at some of the other tracks. So I think, well, right now it's looking about even, but we'll see in the race.
Right, cool. I'll say well done, Thomas, because you've got less than 3 minutes to the race, so well done, and we need to catch up with Jack. We'll hopefully talk to you a little bit later on, maybe with another interview for a race podium instead of quali podium, but well done on P2, Thomas Potter.
Thank you.
And last but certainly not least, our pole position, 4 out of 4. Well done, Jack Smith. Superb effort there in qualifying, and Thomas, congratulated you. We'll say well done too. 100% record in qualifying. Great stuff.
Yeah, it's not a bad effort, is it? I thought I wouldn't have it. I thought Thomas was still on the lap when I got dragged into the interview room, so I was a bit surprised. So yeah, I had a little bit of a mare in quali. First outing, I didn't put enough fuel in for 2 flyers, and then went off at the same time, so the lap was a dud. And then on that second run, I just had the one lap that was good. So we put that one in, and it was enough for pole. So it was quite lucky. But yeah, you have to put the work in. It's such a tricky track to nail to get the last like half a second. Yeah, it takes some throwing the car about for sure. So yeah, no, really happy with my qualifying performance.
That was good. It sounds like a cliche, but it's a proper old school track, isn't it? I mean, it's been, you know, around over 100 years, this track. So, you know, and they built tracks, you know, back in the day to make the most of what was there. I mean, if you look at Brands Hatch now, which obviously is not suitable for F1 anymore, but it's still a great natural bowl, and Monza is a super little track that I guess is going to favour naturally gifted drivers. It's a tough one, isn't it?
Yeah, it's tricky, but it's really rewarding when you get that lap nailed. It's brilliant. It's such a nice track. You just got to be careful when you're on the edge, like we were just then. It's pretty sketchy. You may not look it, but we're really fighting with it. So yeah, just got to make sure I can keep it together in the race.
Okay, mate. Well, I kept the others on quite a long time. I'll let you get away and get ready for the race. Jack Smith, 4th consecutive pole. Well done. We'll see if you can do number 5 next week with Scott at Le Mans. But let you get on with the race. Well done, Jack.
Cheers, Richard.
So that's our top 3 from qualifying as we look forward to race number 1. Just a quick reminder, if you look at the top right of the screen, we are racing in support of Race Against Dementia, Sir Jackie Stewart's charity. Dementia affects a great deal of us and touches our lives in ways we don't really want, but we're acknowledging that and supporting that great initiative. And I didn't mention it last week. Apologies to all involved with the charity. It's going to be a big event coming up later on in the season that we'll be able to do as well. As we look at our grid, Jack Smith on pole position and Thomas Potter alongside him in the turquoise and black Porsche. Lighting sequence about to get underway, and hours racing about to start here. We will stop, of course, after half an hour for the first race and grab the interviews with them as per normal. But sequence is complete. The lights go out and we are racing at Monza. Potter gets away well. Looks like everybody getting away reasonably well. And Jack Smith, I think, was equal to that as we look for the cars to come down into Rettifilo for the first time. And Thomas Potter's flicked to the outside. It's Jack Smith that leads. Chris Blakey up in 3rd. We've got a car off into the barrier. I think that was Rich Hayden, possibly because he's gone down the order as he rejoined. We've got a couple of other issues as well, but cracking start by Jack Smith. Thomas Potter tried his best, Becky, to try and get up with him into turn 1, but pole position really counted for Jack Smith.
Yeah, he's got great momentum at the moment. Jack is, cracking on getting the job done, making sure he gets a clean start and just, get that gap.
Yeah, doing doing very well indeed as we watch Paul Laramie coming under pressure from Lee Pearcey. Wherever you look in this field, there are some great drivers all getting stuck in. There's definitely always someone to race with, and you never know, we might be able to tempt Becky or other half to have a race with us as we get...
That's been there.
That's Daniel Heaps, wasn't it? Daniel was worried about doing that. In his interview from third place, drops down into 12th position. Cat Potter, I think, might have been one of the other drivers to have an issue off the start. But Daniel Heaps will recover. He's not going to get the rub of the green in terms of the reverse grid because the qualifying times are reversed for reverse grid, not the finishing position. So hard lines to Daniel Heaps. We've got someone off in the back. Oh, yes, we have. So we'll eyeball that one a little bit later on. That was the
Mustang of Christian.
Oh, good spot. That's why you're here, Becky.
Yeah.
Yeah, Christian Gillian.
I've got all my screens up, so...
Oh, brilliant. That's really good news. So across the Thomas Potter getting closer here. Pulls out and looking for the run down into Rettifilo. He's not quite close enough to have a go at Jack Smith. And Jack not having to get defensive, but comes out, grabs the racing line into the Rettifilo S's, and it's Thomas Potter keeping him honest. This is probably not going to be an unusual situation now. When Thomas was building his confidence a couple of VRRC series ago, Becky, he was kind of having his time at the front through the reverse grid races, but now he's there through outright pace in qualifying, which is good. And in the past, where we saw him in the reverse grid races soaking up the pressure from the likes of Oliver Gibson, Jack Smith and Chris Blakey and the likes, now we're seeing him put the pressure on Jack Smith because he's had that much experience. He's, really gaining knowledge and confidence that goes with that, and doing a super job of putting our multi-champion under a bit of pressure. So Thomas has learnt his craft well. And when you watch this, I make no apology for saying this every time that we're commentating, but it's hard to believe that Thomas Potter isn't even of age at the moment to race in a junior formulae, and yet here he is racing with great people like Jack Smith. So he's doing real well.
Yeah, great to see him coming into his own, like you say, and yeah, put the pressure on and learn week by week as he goes. Yeah, give some good close racing.
Yeah, it's all going to be good character building for him. We were looking at Rich Hayden chasing Alex Walker, back up to Jack Smith out front, very nearly 5 minutes into our first race of the evening already. So Jack Smith out front from Thomas Potter, developed the gap after 2 laps to around about 7/10 of a second. So Smith from Potter, you kind of get the impression that it's going to be a race of survival, this one, with just how tricky this particular circuit is. So down into turn 1 again. And just having a quick look at, I think everyone in this series, there are tyre options. Some of our other championships, we've had the option to, or the requirement to change tyres on the pit stops. Now, this one you don't have to. You do have to do a pit stop, but you don't have to change tyres in it. And everybody on the soft tyre. Thomas did play a few games last time with pretending he was going out on super soft tyres, but he did actually opt back with the soft tyre at the end. Probably looking, if it's anything like last week's race again, that the stops will probably happen around about half distance. It seems to be the sort of settling in point for most of the drivers, to be able to do that. As we watch Blake and Paul Laramie going through, Lee Pearcey is in behind, and then Andy Carroll from Rich Hayden, Alex Walker, John Jones in the top 10. Daniel Heaps is 11th from Catherine Potter, the recovering Kristen Gillian. Kenny Press is in 14th. Any thoughts on the opening couple of laps?
It was all a little bit hectic to begin with, but it seems to be settling down a bit, and yeah, drivers unfortunately were caught out a little bit earlier on, just to crawl their way back up the grid.
Yeah, I think that's fair comment now, as Paul Laramie goes through just ahead of Lee Pearcey. He's going to be able to hang on to this. He's got the inside run, so Porsche ahead of Ferrari. So Paul Laramie up into 5th place. We can see the yellow and black Porsche of Chris Blakey up ahead of him in 4th place. Now, they're going to work together, which clearly they're not going to, because Lee Pearcey is going to try and return the favour here and look around the outside. Can he get the job done before they go down into Esfilo. Let's see whether he can. He's got his nose in front and grabs it. Oh, he
Little bit of contact.
there was a little bit of, I didn't see it pop up on my screen, but
No.
yeah,
Very close then.
that was a good move though.
Yeah, it wasn't good to let him keep that position for too long, was he?
Yeah, good race between these two. And again, as we said last week, the drivers probably haven't had the memo about working together and trying to close down the ones in front. They're just too busy squabbling over position themselves. So Piercy and Laramie with Andy Carroll in 7th, Rich Hayden still in 8th place after that moment off the start. In fact, Rich Hayden's closing in, so there might be a battle in the offing there as well for 7th position. As we get a little bit of server freeze, that will come back to us as the race continues on. Timing wise, we are at 23 minutes of the race remaining here on the Monza configuration. I don't know if Scott Woodwiss is watching. Scott Woodwiss will be joining us again, doing a solo run actually next week, as I'm away next week, so we look forward to Scott's dulcet tones. It was great to get him back commentating with us, and he's commentating on the Racing Honda Championship this year and some Porsche stuff out in Europe as well, so great to welcome him to the VRRC team. As we look back from Rich Hayden's car, Andy Carroll right behind him. Andy shares a reverse livery with Scott Bugner. I make no apology for mentioning drivers that aren't here. We do, Scott, we want you back. I don't know if he's watching it. He was watching touring cars from 2004 on YouTube the other day, by all accounts. So he should be watching these, and we need to get him back in the car. No championship pressure now, because he's had a couple of rounds off, so maybe the breather is what he might have needed, or maybe he's going to rejoin us for the mini championship, which would be quite good. That starts the first weekend in July. We've got a touring car championship that month as well, which I think Scott might be looking after for us. I'll try and dip in and get a couple of rounds in as well on that one. But Jack Smith's still out front from Thomas Potter in P2. Thomas setting a purple sector on his last lap, so maybe starting to get things to work for him here. Oliver Gibson is in 3rd, so Oliver's improved on his starting position and looking to try and add another podium to his collection. He's had a podium at each round so far. Was on the podium in race 1 at Valencia last week as the leaders come back up towards us again. So Jack Smith clear, Thomas Potter in P2. Podium looking fairly settled at the moment. Daniel Heaps is still in 11th, trying to chase after John Jones. So 2 events on the podium on the bounce for Daniel Heaps with his win last time out, and a podium in qualifying for this one, but he's going to struggle to get up onto podium positions in this race. We pick up on Oliver Gibson. I've no doubt Oliver and Jack will be being cheered on in the hot cavern. If you're in the hot cavern and listening to this, give us a big cheer. We're going to have a virtual, I mentioned we're going to have a virtual presentation night at the hot cavern. If we can get up there, we will. We'll try and get everyone together maybe over the winter, which will be good. But I know they enjoy watching their racing here. Top 3, though, all looking relatively settled at the moment. What about Blakey and Piercy? I think Lee Piercy's closing in, Becky. You can see the white and blue Ferrari closing in on the yellow and black Porsche here. So it might be a battle in the offing.
Yeah, he's managed to get away from Paul, hasn't he? So he's pushing forward, trying to catch up with Blakey just ahead. It also looks like Oliver Gibson has been putting his foot down as well, and he's slowly creeping towards Thomas Potter as well. So that will be interesting to see over the next couple of laps if that comes to anything, of the all be to play for when it comes to the pit stops.
Yeah, do you know what? I mean, last week they all pitted, I think in race 2 at the same time, and we were a little bit worried it was going to snuff the race
We've
out.
just had Piercy go a little bit wide there.
He did. That's blown his chance there and put him into a 3-car battle now, hasn't it? With Rich Hayden and Paul Laramie right behind him. One little mistake, isn't it, that can do that. But yeah, you're right about Thomas and Oliver. Oliver had a purple sector. Thomas did as well. Both went purple on different sectors. And possibly closing in on Jack Smith, who never gets complacent in the lead. But yeah, this is where we probably need to look now. Here is Chris Blakey in 4th. He's on his own. And then we've got a 3-way fight going on. Oh, Rich Hayden gets into the back there of Paul Laramie, who spins around and loses places. Now, Rich will know. We were giving Rich some stick last week because he does the clarking of this as well, Becky. And he said to me, and I believe him 100%, that he's very hard on himself if there's a tap. And I think that might be a self-imposed penalty there.
Yeah,
Particularly
it was
as
a very
you,
brave move to be going for.
yeah, you gotta have a go. Who was it I was talking to in the week? Was there was a guy in my other job. He said he wants to have a go, and he said that he'd love to do sim racing and proper esports, but fears that he would be too much involved in contact. And he said that that's for him the thing moving up from gaming into esports. And I think there is a dividing line somewhere. The difference is that you've got to have a little bit more finesse, or a lot more finesse, in terms of moving from the gaming into this, proper esports racing. And I think he calls that very well, because when you've got drivers as experienced as Rich Hayden, just a tiny little bit of contact, which is not malicious. Nobody would do it maliciously in this championship, but so easy to do.
Yeah, and it can be so devastating to your race as well, and it's somewhat harder to gauge the distances when you're in that virtual kind of race. But like all these pros that are doing it regularly, you soon learn. Again, you learn your car and where to place it, but also where somebody might be coming up on the inside or round the outside to try to catch you out. And it's always nice to see how respectful everybody is as well. Like you say, given space. And again, I'm sure everybody would feel terrible if they do make a little bit of contact and force someone to go off. It's like you say, it's not what anybody aims to.
No, that's absolutely right. Alex Walker's coming up well here, and not had too many overtakes to do, but with the various problems of other drivers, finds himself into 5th position. Jack Smith, meanwhile, has had a stop. We saw contact with the environment coming up on screen for Lee Pearcey, who's now down in 6th behind Alex Walker, who's having a good strong run at the moment, Alex. But Alex also up into 5th place by virtue of not having had his stop. So the top driver that stopped is Jack Smith. Thomas Potter in P2 hasn't had his stop yet. Now that surprises me a little bit, because Thomas wasn't that far behind. So I'm wondering if Jack Smith's pit stop is erroneous or not. There is Thomas Potter. So let's just have a quick look if we can pan and see. Yeah, I'll tell you what, Jack Smith hasn't had the stop yet, has he? Because he's that same distance. If they both stopped, I can understand the distance between the two, but that's definitely P1 and P2. And Jack Smith showing us one pit stop on the timing screen if you're watching it. Thomas Potter showing us not having stopped. Chris Blakey is showing us having stopped in 3rd place. I suspect we might get those two in at the same time, as Lee Pearcey starts to try and recover and close in on Alex Walker. Great to see Alex having a good strong run here again. Alex's best result. I did the curse of the commentator, Becky, on him last week and said he was running well in 5th place, and then had some sort of incident which threw him down the order. So I'm not going to say how well he's doing in this one at the moment. But he's coming under pressure from Lee Pearcey, so he's in a race here. And Lee again goes off. Lee is certainly exploring every part of the track.
Yeah, definitely seeing where he can push and where he can't.
Yeah, he's back on. And so John Jones coming up into the mix now as well. So great to look at the... Not John Jones, beg your pardon. That is Andy Carroll, isn't it? So in 5th position, but yeah, John Jones is behind Lee Pearcey. So apologies, I think Carroll coming into the pits for his stop there. Alex Walker now showing at the top of the screen as Thomas Potter comes in as well. So we now have Jack Smith and Thomas Potter both coming in for their pit stops. Alex Walker will lead the race, still to stop here, but enjoying his little moment at the top of the stack. Jack Smith comes out in P2. Lee Pearcey showing with a stop and is in 3rd place, but drops down as he stays in the pits. And Thomas Potter goes up to 2nd position behind Jack Smith in terms of the drivers who have had the stops. I'm not sure about the pit stop counter on our timing screen, but we'll maybe come back to that. And it was about halfway, so there's not everyone coming out on soft tyres again. So the tyre choices and the pit strategy, Becky? It seemed to be pretty consistent week to week. The drivers really going for it around about half distance, give themselves a little bit of a breather, if we can call it that, before they re-engage for the second half of the race.
Yeah, and it's just trying to keep those tyres holding on till the last lap. I wonder if that was some of the PSC's problem. Maybe the tyres were just getting a little bit too old, a bit too worn, not as much grip, and just losing it.
Yeah, that's a good shout, actually. I hadn't thought about that. Lee is down in 6th place. That could well be that he's ragged everything out of the tyres.
Especially with his with his earlier fights with Paul.
Yeah, he put a lot of work into those tyres, hadn't he? And there he is in 6th place at the moment, Lee Pearcey. Alex Walker still to pit. I think he's the only driver still to do a stop. Jack Smith showing his 2, so I think that was definitely in error. That was a nice little iconic
Alex
shot.
is pitted now.
Cool. Okay, so should see Jack Smith emerge in lead position post stop as we again focus on Lee Pearcey. But here is soon to be back in the overall lead of the race. It's going to be Jack Smith, who does cross the line, takes the lead into, I suppose, officially into the second half of the race. Thomas Potter still down behind him in P2, so essentially another podium here for Thomas. You can see the gap between the two. So here is Jack Smith going through the Rettifilo, and Thomas Potter probably there or thereabouts now as the race leader rounds turn 2, Curva Grande, and heading down towards turn 3. There was Thomas Potter again. The youngster really building his experience now. We can probably forget about the fact that he's still learning, but he's here and up the front on his own account now in qualifying, and he's not relying on getting that opportunity to run at the front on reverse grids now. He's there very much on his own merit all the time, and still nothing wrong if any driver does get a reverse grid pole, because that's all part of the learning process in terms of getting away at the start. And I think the reverse grid start is going to be very interesting when we get on to race 2. I'm guessing, Becky, reverse grid racing isn't something that we had, was it, in C1? So that would be new territory for you too if you were here.
Oh yeah, definitely. The only thing I do remember having to do was a safety car restart. I was actually quite far towards the front, not actually in the order, but just the way it landed. I think there was about 5 cars ahead of me. So full well aware that there was obviously faster cars going to be behind me. So trying to keep it clean, keep out the way, but obviously defend where I needed to as well. So as you remember, there was 40 cars at times. There was a lot going on, a lot to take in. So do the same for a reverse grid when you know there might be people that can quite outpace you. It's thinking, well, do you fight that battle, or do you hold your own and see how far you get?
Do you get nervous with that, or do you just let the adrenaline and concentration take over?
Yeah, I think I'm a lot nervous looking back at things and thinking about it. When you're in that moment, you just literally, you kind of, as soon as, like a lot of drivers will say, as soon as you get all your gear on, you get your helmet on. Everybody's process will be different, but I would generally zone out. I'd have probably a bit of a sing to myself in the car around formation lap, and then kind of focus but kind of go off in my own little world, try not to think too much about what was happening all the time, and just kind of think, well, I need to go forward.
That's exactly what Dan Heaps is doing at the moment, isn't it? Really good dice here with John Jones, the man from the Isle of Wight. And John is not giving up without a fight, side by side, giving each other room here. But Daniel's got the line as they go through the chicane. And John lost a lot of momentum there, unfortunately. So John Jones put up a good fight. Daniel Heaps, after his shenanigans on the first lap, he was down in 11th. He's actually clawed back a couple of places. And as we've just seen from that, he's earned them as well. So Daniel Heaps back up into the top 10, which is going to help the point score for sure. And he's putting a bit of a gap between himself and John Jones. And Dan's next target, metaphorically, is going to be Rich Hayden, who is in 8th place at the moment, chasing Paul Laramie, Lee Pearcey, Alex Walker, Andy Carroll, Chris Blakey, Thomas Potter, and Jack Smith up the front. And when you look at the top 10, all of those drivers capable of winning a reverse grid race at the very least, or getting on the podium from fastest off the front, I would say. with 9 minutes to go. So we're into the last third of the race, and Jack Smith setting a purple sector at this stage, which is very good going indeed from the race leader who we follow, and he's getting away from Thomas Potter though. Thomas has got the fastest lap though, 146.803, the man in P2. It might have been a good few laps ago, but good, consistent, fast paced again from Thomas Potter, and I don't think he'll be unhappy with P2, and it'd be interesting to see, I was going to say, what he'll do in the reverse grid race. He'll still be starting alongside Jack Smith in the reverse grid, but they'll have to work their way through the field together. There is Thomas back in P2. Chris Blakey is in third. Oliver Gibson 3 laps down. Oliver had a server outage last week, so we lost him completely from one of the races. I would have expected to see Oliver on the podium, but he's some 3 laps adrift, so he clearly had some issue, as has Kenny Press, which is a shame for our front runner. So, but it means we've got Chris Blakey up into a podium position, and here comes Chris now in black and yellow. So it's Ferrari, Porsche, Ferrari at the moment, with still 8 minutes on the clock. And Chris Blakey's actually got Thomas Potter, he's got a car between, but it might give him something to focus on here, I think.
Well, we can just see them just ahead and see what he's aiming for, and hopefully gives him that push to try and close that gap a bit and see if he can catch Thomas towards the end of the race.
Yeah, he's got him, as you say, if you've got him in sight, then that can help as a little bit of a target. 7:37 to go as they go across the line again. Jack Smith still out front by some 3 seconds at the moment. A further 3 seconds back from Thomas Potter is Chris Blakey. Chris very clear of Andy Carroll for P4, and another 4 seconds down the road behind Chris. Then it's Alex Walker in 5th. Lee Pearcey struggling on in 6th place, trying to get back. The one thing we've seen from Lee is that he's got pace to run a little bit higher. Might find that he is, just having a quick look at what I jotted down from qualifying, I think Lee Pearcey might find himself in the right half of the reverse grid to fancy his chances of a podium, if not a win, in race 2, but probably a little bit early to make that sort of prediction. Lee, who was 3rd in our F4 single-seater competition, which was our last VRRC series, and prior to that, 4th in the World Touring Car Championship, which we ran. Here is Lee still trying to close in. Given your simulations, Becky, I was going to ask, what sort of car did you what car did you use to have a look at Monza when you were prepping for today?
I think we did a mix, as always. I don't know if I mentioned when we were live. My partner quite likes Formula cars, so it's always a kind of a Formula 3 car going around. I prefer something slightly slower, so maybe like a McLaren 570, just so I can take it all in a little bit easier than it whizzing past me.
I love the way you say McLaren is slower. That's not slow at all.
Just slightly than a Formula car. So it feels a little bit slower to me. Definitely not as slow as a C1, but I will never put down C1. You do get some, once you get the momentum in those cars, there's no stopping you.
The C1, I mean, going back to the C1s, they are just such a great class to start your racing in. And the proof of that is the amount of drivers that come up into it, but also the fact that, you know, as I mentioned earlier on, you do get touring car drivers and GT drivers who are quite happy to go in and go back to it and race in it. And, you know, we saw it this year's 24 Hours. We had Tom Ingram in it. We had the likes of Jade Edwards and Josh Cook, who, you know, come back to it, and a lot of various sort of, you know, sports car drivers coming in and doing it as well. So I think there can be a tendency, as there is with Fun Cup, a lot of people look down their nose at it, but when they come and get involved in it and see it, it's absolutely mega. Fun Cup racing, the last 2 seasons has been absolutely fantastic. C1s have been good. As a spin-off to that, and probably one that I need to get you talking to, is the City Car Cup, which are a similar specification to the C1.
Yeah.
So you've got the Igo and the Peugeot, as well as the C1s running in City Car Cup. And that is I think one of the only championships in the UK this year that is oversubscribed. I mean, we are a lot of people struggling with budgets this year, but that has been oversubscribed for the first 2 rounds of this year's. And within that, we've got the Student Cup as well, Student Motorsport Challenge. And again, such a really good way of getting people involved in racing. And it ain't cheap, but the racing is absolutely brilliant. So,
Yeah. Well, when you get such full grids, like I was saying before, you had 40 odd cars going around Brands Hatch on the rounds, and you get a lot of experience then when you've got so many cars to be fighting battles with. And they're always so supportive as well. So I remember the first day walking in, I was again, we were a team full of women that basically never raced before. And it was, again, open arms, come in. Actually, you could get tips from other drivers there. Nobody was almost like, I like to do anything. I'd go openly talk to other garages and be like, oh, well, actually, if I did this, is this the right thing? And people be like, actually, no, don't do that next time. So it was always so in place. So it definitely left a void since leaving.
Oh, Daniel Heaps has had a crash with the environment. So Daniel he's still in 9th and chasing Rich Hayden. But yeah, I'm going back to the C1 environment. Absolutely superb environments coming to race to. There is Chris Blakey in 3rd place, still chasing Thomas Potter. And see whether Chris looking pretty settled at the moment. We've got 2 minutes 59 on the clock. So a couple of laps remaining here on our first race at Monza. With Lee Piercy trying to close in on Alex Walker, Andy Carroll ahead of them. Again, if they work together, we could end up with a 3-car scrap before the end of the half-hour race. Andy Carroll on for P4. Can't remember what Andy's done. Has he been on the podium yet, Andy Carroll, in this series? Yes, he has. He was 3rd in race 1 at Brands Hatch. The reason I don't remember that is because I wasn't commentating on it. So, but I did keep a note of what he did. So that was the best result of 3rd place. For some reason that didn't get written down in one part of my chart, so I have to go back and revisit that one. As Paul Laramie in 7th place ahead of Rich Hayden. Now remember, Daniel Heaps is the next car. He's actually more than the length of the straight behind Daniel Heaps. So Rich Hayden did manage to sneak an interview at the end of the meeting last time. We got a 3rd place interview with Rich Hayden as we got 1 minute 52 on the clock. So I reckon we've probably got, this is probably for the leaders, the penultimate lap as we join Jack Smith out front. It's going to be another pole and win, barring any issues. And inevitably, it's going to be interesting to see what he can do from the back. That tends to be one of the questions that we'll ask him when we get onto the podium. But half an hour is probably long enough with a good pit strategy to come through from the back. But he's going to have more work. And I guess that's because he's got to chase his way through the pack. Now, in terms of any racing you've done, Becky, do you prefer chasing or do you prefer defending? For being in the position to start with?
Probably prefer being chased. Again, you've kind of got the upper hand a little bit then, but
Okay.
it's always nice to be able to close the gap as well. And like I said earlier, it's sometimes helps seeing that car ahead and be like, okay, right, I can get you. Or sitting behind and watching what they're doing, and then think, actually, I might be able to sneak around this. I remember actually managing to do a on someone round Silverstone in the 24-hour, and it was after sitting behind them quite a few laps and working out actually where we're braking and thinking, I reckon I can outbrake you and just sneak on the inside, and it actually played out well. I didn't end up in water or anything or gravel, so I call that a success.
Yeah, that's really good. That's very good. Here we go on towards the dying moments of this race. So Jack Smith is the race leader, Thomas Potter in P2. We're looking at Lee Piercy, not quite close enough at the moment to Alex Walker to take the challenge. Similarly, Rich Hayden in 8th. All very close between these three. And Rich, after his early moments earlier on, has done a pretty good fight back, as has Daniel Heaps from 11th to 9th. So Rich has gone, I don't know, he was lower than 11th or 12th, I think, at the end of the opening lap, but has fought back well. And Alex Walker doing a good job of holding off Lee Pearcey at the moment for 5th. Andy Carroll, the perhaps slightly forgotten man at the moment, in 4th place. And well ahead as we go back to race leader Jack Smith on the final few corners. So here is Jack still well clear, 5 seconds at the last count clear of Thomas Potter in P2. There is Thomas, so still chasing on. Quick look at the lap times, 1:46.6 for Thomas, 1:46.7 best lap for Jack Smith. So Thomas has had the pace on his best lap and certainly maintaining that momentum that he's got in the championship. But up towards the checkered flag and buzzing the pit wall is Jack Smith, who takes the 5th win of the Virtual Reality Racing Club World Endurance League. Congratulations, Jack. Thomas Potter is in 2nd place and the first Porsche home. So well done, Thomas, for completing that. And 3rd position is going to go to Chris Blakey. Going to be a 2nd podium of the season for Chris. Took one at Brands Hatch, so I get to have my first podium chat with him as he crosses the line and completes our podium.
I think
4th
Thomas was
position.
quite happy with his finish there as well. He was just doing a little bit of a celebration over the line.
He was, yeah, good spot. He will be very happy, and no doubt we'll catch up with him in a moment. Andy Carroll 4th from Alex Walker. Lee Pearcey in 6th position. 7th goes to Paul Laramie crossing the line now. Then it's going to be Daniel Heaps up into 8th place, so decent recovery from Daniel. And then John Jones in P9 from Rich Hayden, who looks like he's dropped back, and it looks like Daniel was pretty happy as well. So following Rich Hayden, it's going to be Kat Potter and Christian Gillian. I think they are only finishers there. Hard lines to Oliver Gibson and Kenny Press. Will try and catch up with what happened to those two as Daniel Heaps completes his run. And we'll have a word with our podium finishers after this quick break. So race 1 complete for this evening, and we're going to get straight onto the podium. And the man who finishes in 3rd place, I think my first interview of the campaign, with Chris Blakey. Chris, well done on the podium. Decent start to the day.
Evening, ladies and gents. Yeah, surprising actually. I don't know what happened to Ollie, bless him. But yeah, I'm happy with that. Not been fun to get around this track. These cars, they've been a little bit on knife edge. So just dialed it back and kind of just went with it. So.
Yeah, I think seems to be a little bit tricky. I don't know what happened to Oliver. I think he had a server outage last week. Not quite sure what's happened today, but it's got you up on the podium, and you were on the podium. You were at the podium at the weekend as well. 2 class wins in BMWs.
I was, yes, yeah, at Old Park. I'm really chuffed for that. So yeah, it was unfortunately due to Mr. Laramie's demise in race 1. He had an ABS failure because I was behind him and I was on for a cracking battle with him. But he went off at Lodge Corner in a cloud of smoke, so that was unfortunate for him, and I didn't get a good race out of it really. So, but I'll take the class win. So fastest laps, pole position, and 2 fastest laps. Alton is never a thing to be sniffed at. So I'm really happy, really chuffed. So.
Do you do sort of sim practice in a BMW? You know,
yes.
To learn Alton Park and stuff like that, so you can get a little bit of.
Yeah, do a little bit here and there, just a few laps beforehand, just to try and remember the tracks. Because my last time out at Alton last year, I had an off, and it kind of broke the front end of the car off. So I had to just a gentle reminder of the track to get my eye in, because we did the E36s with VRRC a couple of seasons ago, and they're cracking cars. So we had a little sim set up in the club tent with some people come to have a go as well. So it was a good weekend.
Oh, excellent. Sounds like a lot. I'll have to get along to one of the 750. I'm not doing too much work race weekends this year, so it'd be nice to come to a 750 meeting and see you guys doing that. So yeah, I'll try and get along for a social.
Yeah,
Monza like both old school tracks, aren't they?
Very old school, yes. Yeah, there is no forgiving on the bumps. There is no forgiving for error. I had a couple of moments. For the first lap, I had a big slide going into the sweepers out the back, and fair play to Ollie, he didn't hit me, but that got him right close to me. So yeah, it's an old school track, but you've really got to be kind of 100% on it, otherwise that's it. It'll spit you off, and that's it. Race done.
I'm guessing in the UK we don't have anything new school or Herman Tilk smooth, do we? I mean, I suppose Silverstone is probably the closest that we get to that over here, but all of the British tracks generally have that character that would be lacking from Grand Prix venue.
Yes, you wouldn't get a Thruxton these days, would you? You wouldn't get you wouldn't get a Croft. Nowhere would let you have like sort of blind entry at 120 mile an hour through church. It was the old school tracks of the UK are the best in my eyes, and long may they be around.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. Having said that, though, is there a hankering to go and have a go at Dubai or somewhere like that where the top levels of our sport do go and race?
I would love to go and around various tracks. I know 750 have kind of got a track over in Portugal, Spain now. Sorry, MSV bought a track over in Spain these days. So I'm kind of trying to urge the club to kind of, do you fancy a cross borders trip, just to see if we can kind of get some warmer weather? But
yeah, Portimao and Navarro, I think, are the two that people go to. But yeah, a couple of clubs have done runs out. I know the modified Fords went out there, but the numbers didn't add up. I don't think in the end they struggled to get because it's the extra time off and the extra travel. It's a lovely idea, but you've got to have everyone right behind it. And 750 are very much, I don't know, always packed grids, aren't they? And
yes,
it's good value for money for what you get as well.
Definitely, it's a cracking weekend with 750. They organise it very well. Like the BMW Car Club organise our events really well. So an event like that would be a kind of a cost stickler, because it's great money for the racing. 750 strive to kind of be to get everybody on the grid no matter what the cost. So it's good.
Well done. Good to see you back on the podium, Chris. Well done on the weekend, and well done on P3 in this one, and good luck for race 2. Time's ticking down, so I need to crack on and have a quick word with Thomas and Jack as well. But nice to catch up with you on the podium again. Well done to Chris.
Brilliant. Thank you, guys. Bye.
Second position. Oh, we knew we were going to have a second chat, I think, with Thomas Potter. Thomas, I think you got fastest lap in that one as well.
Yeah, well, absolutely, fastest off as well. Thanks so much. Just unfortunate because the Porsche's tyres seemed to die a lot quicker than the Ferraris. Mine were dead about 3/4 through, so on the last 5 laps I was just battling my car around the corners, and as long as I didn't spin, I knew I could keep second.
And you certainly did that, and I made the comment during the race that, well, you've probably got your own feed on but not listening to me, but one of the things I said was, in previous series when you were with us, you were kind of making your mark in the reverse grid races, and that's gone now because you're at the front in qualifying and in battling with the likes of Jack Smith and Ollie and Chris on your own momentum, on your own pace now. So must be good that you're consistently at the front.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And to be honest, I know it's a bit, well, not the end of the interview, but it's all thanks to all my partners pushing me on and just helping me, and especially thanks to Kate, who have really pushed me on lately, and I want to say a huge thanks to him as John, Fiona, and Matty, and James. And then this round was dedicated to his son Ralph. I want to say a huge thanks to for being my biggest fan. But yeah, if it wasn't for them, I don't think I'd be where I was right now, pushing really hard and just being hungry for this championship.
That's really good. Inevitable question as we move forward to the start of race 2. It's the reverse grid, so you and Jack have either got to work together or certainly work individually, if not, to work your way through the field. So what sort of target would you have, do you think, in terms of a finish?
Well, right now I'm on the grid at 4th, and Jack's right next. Well, I'm on McGrin and Fern. Jack's right next to me, so I'm not sure why, but I'm not gonna complain because I'd rather be higher up. So I think maybe work with Daniel, as obviously I'm teammates with him, and try hold off Jack, and then hopefully get past Chris, who was really good at starters. I saw in my last one, and then just hopefully go for a win this time.
I'm not sure if I got the email, if there's been a change of format in terms of, the total reverse. Maybe that will sort out, but we'll see. Thomas, I will say very well done, because I need to have a very quick word with Jack. So well done, Thomas Potter, and well done, Jack Smith, on another win. A great start. It looked like the danger part was at the start, and Thomas made a pretty decent start of it, but you just beat him into Filo and managed to carry that on.
Yeah, no, Thomas is usually really good with his start, so I tried my best to get a perfect start, and we did, and then I covered the inside as soon as I could. So, yeah, I did that and just pushed on for those first 3 laps. And as soon as I saw Thomas make a little wiggle and he fell back a little bit and right into Ollie, I was like, right, I can chill out a little bit now and just sort of focus on braking the tiny bit earlier, save the tires a bit. I believe Ollie had a technical. He lost his gears, unfortunately, so he's out now. Because he's not able to fix it in time for this race, which is a shame. But yeah, we'll have to try and sort all his issues out for the next round for sure.
Is he down? He's gone to the hop cabin now, is he?
I think he's wanting a beer for sure. I think he'll probably be drinking something now. But no, yeah, bless him. Yeah, I know it is one of them things, and it happens in sim racing as well. We're technical, so yeah. But other than that, good race. Just hoping we can get through like in race 1 through this next one.
Okay, well, I wish you well with that. I'm sorry I haven't obviously was whittering on with Chris for a long time. I haven't had a chat with Chris before, but we did catch up in qualifying. Jack, well done. Good luck for race 2 as well.
No worries. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Jack. Jack Smith, who took the win. Thomas Potter second. Chris Blakey completing our podium. And we're now looking forward to race 2 with Chris Blakey starting on pole. Looks like a partial reverse, doesn't it, rather than a full reverse. Not sure why. We'll probably be able to fill you in on that one next week, if not before. But Chris Blakey starts on pole position with Daniel Heaps alongside Thomas Potter in P3, then Jack Smith and Paul Laramie. Lee Piercy next up from Rich Hayden. You can see the blue and white Ferraris are there as well as we head towards the lighting sequence, which is about to get us underway. And as we say that, the lights come up on screen, and we're very nearly ready for our 8th race of the campaign of our Spring Summer Championship. And we're underway. Daniel Heaps not quite quick enough away from the line, but he does get it away. And let's see how they fare down into turn 1. It's Chris Blakey that heads them at the moment, but he's coming under a little bit of pressure. Is Chris Blakey? No, Chris is clear actually as to go into turn 1. The camera angle was flattering to deceive the chasers, and it's Jack Smith that gets up into P2. Daniel Heaps is third, then Paul Laramie. Lee Piercy dropping down the order, which is a little bit of a shame. Thomas Potter down in 7th, but it's Chris Blakey from Jack Smith. So Jack looking to make it another double, as Daniel Heaps will try and have a much easier time of it in the opening lap on this one. And Daniel Heaps is going for 2nd position, having a right old go there as Paul Laramie comes up as well. Becky, I'll tell you what, Daniel Heaps challenging for P2 to the championship leader. That was audacious stuff.
Yeah, it definitely seems like he's got a point to prove in this race, hasn't he? After unfortunately losing the last race, definitely wants to be on the podium for this one.
And he's certainly very well capable of it. Race winner last time. There is Daniel Heaps, but a bit further back, Rich Hayden starting to have a look at Paul Laramie. Paul in the magenta and lime green, and Rich Hayden is off and into the wall and out of the race. Didn't see the start of the build up of that. This is not Rich's day today. We're not going to get a chat with him on the podium, unfortunately now. So Rich Hayden out of it. Chris Blakey is away and in lead position. So it's Chris Blakey the race leader, Jack Smith in P2, who knows that he's got the best part of half an hour to be able to work out if he can close down on the Porsche. Daniel Heaps is 3rd, Andy Carroll 4th, Paul Laramie next up from Thomas Potter. In fact, Potter reverses the position as we speak and gets across in front, but it's a 3-way scrap going on here with Carroll at the head of this group, with Potter and Laramie. Laramie back in front of Thomas Potter there. He's going to take the wide line. He's going to get his nose in front as he goes into turn one. He does, but not quite enough to grab the position. And you can see how well these drivers know how to race with each other. To go through Retofilo, really giving each other the racing room that was needed. And thankfully, all three of them carry on racing safely, and long may that continue through the race.
Yeah, I think Thomas did a good shout there, just backing out a little bit just to make sure nobody was collected going into the first corner.
Here we come again. This is great dicing, and it was only a partial reverse, but as soon as you put any drivers in a reverse situation, it just means that we do start to get a little bit of a battle going on. This is for P4 at the moment, so Andy Carroll out front. Paul Laramie is next up from Thomas Potter. So Thomas in 6th place, Alex Walker 7th down behind them with John Jones, Lee Piercy, Christian Gillian next up from Kenny Press. Rich Hayden is still going. Let's not forget Cat Potter as well in 13th. Hopefully we'll get a chance to follow Cat's racing exploits at some point during this race as well, as brother Thomas gets stuck in. He doesn't want to be stuck behind these other two cars. He's very eager to join the runners at the front. Blakey Smith and Heaps running just out of shot now, as Thomas Potter goes side by side with Paul Laramie. He's on the outside run, as Laramie was last time, and Potter has enough momentum to make that one stick round the outside. Thomas Potter now will try and chase down Andy Carroll for P4 and then maybe move up towards a podium. But the top three, because they're all squabbling, or because they're all squabbling behind, the 4th place battle dropping away at the moment from the Blakey Smith Heaps trio out front. Jack Smith in P2 shows how good Chris Blakey is. The fact that he has done 2 laps and maintained the race lead ahead of Jack Smith in P2. So 2 of the 3 drivers from the podium in race number 1 potentially on for podium positions here. John Jones has had an incident, you can see on screen. Let's hope that John will continue. Still in 10th place ahead of Rich Hayden, as Thomas Potter now trying to deal with Cal. Very forceful stuff from Potter, but he'll have lost momentum there, clattering the curbs, I think, Becky.
Yeah, that was the same place we saw John is oh no, it wasn't. It's the first chicane, isn't it? But yeah, as soon as you hit those sausage curbs, it just unsettles your car, and yeah, you lose all that momentum you've just built up. So it's just settling back down, seeing if you can get him maybe at the next one.
Yeah, thankfully we don't get the physical ramifications of the sausage curbs in sim racing. Some nasty consequences of cars being launched over sausage curbs in recent times, Abbey Eaton being one that we don't really need to be reminded of. But yeah, difficult things to negotiate, as Daniel Heaps goes out shot in 3rd, and Thomas Potter up into 4th place as Paul Laramie wants to try and put a challenge on the Ferrari of Andy Carroll, and he does it. And also coming up is Alex Walker. So Alex Walker coming through as well. Andy Carroll not looking the happiest at the moment. I was about to say the Porsches maybe looking a little bit more racy than the Ferraris in this one, but having said that, we've just seen Ferrari pass Ferrari as well. So Andy Carroll may be struggling a little bit. Cat Potter's had an incident with the environment as well. Cat's still learning her craft. She's down in 12th place. Kenny Press 13th. And Rich Hayden just ahead of them in 11th position. Now, I haven't seen too many rear-facing shots over the course of the race so far, but here's a great view looking back from Alex Walker. And Andy Carroll immediately behind. Lee Piercy is struggling a little bit in this one as well. He's the blue and white car in the distance, so Lee a little bit out of the top range in this one as we get the challenge on for the lead. Director Steve's done a great job of picking it out at the right time, and going around the outside is Jack Smith into lead position. Smith leads. Chris Blakey second. Daniel Heaps is right in the mix as well and challenging for P2 now. But Jack Smith, excellently done move, and seemingly, oh, look at that, right behind Chris Blakey. A little bit of contact from Daniel Heaps. It doesn't dislodge the car in front. But again, super timing from our Director Steve to go on board. Just as we were seeing that, and Daniel Heaps has backed out of that now, just giving the 2nd place car of Chris Blakey a little bit of breathing space, maybe to recover. I think that was fair stuff from Daniel Heaps. Maybe realised he's a little bit too close there. Still a close race out front. So Blakey in P2, and he's chasing Jack Smith, the new race
Ooh,
leader.
Daniel
and...
Heaps has just spun round.
He has. Daniel is not out of the race. Touches the barrier. He's now passed by Thomas Potter. Hard lines, Daniel Heaps. That's such a shame. He was challenging for an outright podium. He kind of predicted it in his interview after qualifying, but we know he's got the pace. Caught out a little bit by the circuit there, and also involved in a pretty heavy... This has put Thomas Potter now. So we've got the same three drivers now from the podium in race number 1 on podium positions provisionally in this one. So all about speed and consistency in this race. As we look at Andy Carroll, Lee Pearcey's got past Andy Carroll now. So Andy not having one of his strongest races here. Difficult drivers around him, competitive drivers around him, with Lee Pearcey now up into 7th, trying to hunt down on Alex Walker. And this one, reverse grid or not, we only had the top 4 or 5 positions reversed, but this race so far, Becky, a lot closer as Andy Carroll. Yeah, he's not happy, is he?
It doesn't seem quite as stable, does it?
No, not
Lucky
the...
a couple of spins, and
Yeah, maybe
it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, maybe try and...
So I was just going to say about Potter, he's improving on his time. So in the first sector, he was going green, whereas the 1 and 2 were a little bit slower. So if he can keep up with that consistent times, he'll hopefully start closing that gap and start threatening them both as well.
Yeah, that's what he'll be after, isn't it? For sure, from that 3rd place. Yeah, 2 green sectors. So Thomas at the head of this group, looking to close in on Blakey and Smith out front. We know that Thomas Potter and Jack Smith both have excellent pit strategies. I dare say Chris Blakey has as well, but we've not had the opportunity. I haven't had the opportunity to focus on what Chris Blakey can do in terms of pit stops over the last couple of days racing that we've had in the World Endurance League. So I'm sure, Chris, the fact that he got the podium in race 1 means that he doesn't have a problem with pit stops, but there might be a little bit of time for Thomas Potter maybe to make up in the stops, and we are probably about 5 minutes away from those at the moment as Jack Smith continues to lead. Chris Blakey in 2nd place. Thomas Potter is a further 4 seconds down at the moment, and Chris Blakey, maybe he'll get the Porsche coming to him in the second half of the race, or coming back to him, but yeah, certainly made a decent enough start as Thomas tries to close in. Remember, championship points wise, Jack Smith the championship leader from Oliver Gibson. Thomas Potter here with Oliver's woes. Bear in mind this is going to be the dropped round for Oliver, I would guess. Potentially could put Thomas Potter up into 2nd place in the standings. And Lee Pearcey was 4th coming into this one, so Chris Blakey could be knocking on the door of 3rd or 4th in the championship with 2 good strong finishes here today. Obviously this one a potential strong finish at the moment, as Daniel Heaps has come back into the mix as well. So Daniel Heaps running well. Now, while I was looking at paperwork and everything, and Kirsten, the commentator goes on there, Daniel Heaps was recovering well. And not the best recovery there.
No, fortunate for a couple of the cars behind to be caught up in that.
Yeah, I've got to say that to me, that was a difficult one for Daniel Heaps because he was spun. He was spinning, having come out of that corner, and was he on track at the time? We'd probably have to watch a replay, and stewards would as well. If you're off, you have to come back on safely, but he was technically on the track anyway. But collected.
I think it was somewhat in the middle, wasn't he? So trying to be as quick as he could to get back and recover, but
yeah, it's a difficult one to call, and I think with MS-UK driving, had that been real world driving, he probably would have pulled off to the side and allowed the others through. Anyway, what's happened has happened. It's a shame because he made a really good recovery. He was running in 3rd place in the podium position. So the question to me was, so how come we lost? Did you see, Becky, how we lost Chris Blakey from P2?
no, I didn't.
No, I didn't see that either. But there he is in 4th. So he was running in 2nd, and I was away looking at timing screens and stuff like that. definitely part of commentator life. That is, he's got Andy Carroll, who was having a mare, Andy Carroll, and he's now in 5th because he's come through this. Sorry, go squeaky there like Paul O'Neill does. He is in 5th place. So Andy Carroll, having had a torrid first part of the race, is now very much in contention for some decent points. And Rich Hayden, who's at the back of the field, finds himself in 6th place, challenging for P5 with a move down the inside, which he gets. Passes Andy Carroll. Nice move by Rich Hayden, who has gone from 0 to hero in this one, really, and up into P4. So super recovery.
And I think that's Chris Blakely off in the background as well. It's just straight on at that corner whilst we were watching Rich.
Yeah, he has. And there wasn't anybody else following, but you can see he did hesitate before coming back onto the track. So following the correct sort of rejoin code, as it were. So Rich Hayden up into 4. I said we weren't going to be interviewing Rich on the podium. That looks like that might be an error, because at the moment we've got Jack Smith, Thomas Potter and Alex Walker in P3 with Rich Hayden P4. So that could change. We might still get a podium interview. And here's why, because Alex Walker looked like he was struggling around that corner and Rich Hayden right with him.
I think unfortunately we've just lost Daniel Heaps as well.
Yeah, that's
on
a shame.
server.
So, yeah, had probably an issue with the car, maybe too badly damaged to carry on in this one. So, Daniel, if you're listening in, make sure you're back with us next week for Le Mans. Definitely got the pace and the character for sure as the podium battle continues here, and you've just got to keep going. This has kind of panned out the way I thought it might, in terms of once you've done an hour's driving or 3/4 of an hour's driving at this level, it's going to start to take its toll. And I think that's why we've seen a few drivers have some issues here. Andy Carroll's obviously got some longevity in this race and is still running in 5th, losing ground on Rich Hayden. So Rich in 4th. We've got John James down behind us. John James having a good run in 6th position as well. Sorry, John Jones in 6th position from Christian Gilliam, who's stealthily moved up into 7th place from Chris Blakey. So it's Jack Smith out front from Thomas Potter. Alex Walker still in 3rd place from Rich Hayden. 15 minutes on the clock, so we're going to start to get into stopping territory very soon as well. So we'll keep our eye on Jack Smith, who goes on to another lap. Now we're going to see the DK Power Ferrari come into the pits at the end of this lap for his stop. He's probably very grateful that he's been out of all of the incidents that have happened over the last 3 or 4 laps, and has been clear.
Yeah.
And that's why you have qualify off the front. Even though this was a partial reverse, he's done well to get it up front and earned his lead, and making the most of that right now.
I think we're starting to get the beginning of the pit stops as well.
Yep, we've got John Jones who's in, Christian Gillian. Oh no, Christian's not in yet. John Jones in. Andy Carroll looks like he's had 2 stops. It says Rich Hayden's had a stop as well. Whether that was from earlier on in the race or not, I don't know. So we'll try and pick up on those for you as we go through. Now we've got Rich Hayden ahead of Alex Walker. So Rich up into a podium position. Alex Walker coming under pressure from Andy Carroll. So now Rich should be good at the pit stops once he does do it. Actually showing us having had 2 stops already. Jack Smith hasn't stopped yet. Thomas Potter showing us having 2 stops as well, so not quite sure what's going on with the timing screen there, but a little bit of contact going through there. Rich Hayden on Alex Walker, and Alex down to 4th. Andy Carroll busy challenging him as well, trying to see where he is. Couldn't see him in the rearview mirrors because he was on the outside run, but now we can see him in the rear. So Andy Carroll in 5th. Good battle for 4th place going on here at the moment. And Rich Hayden in P3 immediately ahead with 13 minutes to go. Jack Smith should be due for his stop as Andy Carroll continues to pile the pressure on to try and challenge for 4th place at the moment. Smith, Potter and Hayden the top 3. Thomas Potter showing us 51 seconds down, but that'll be by virtue of the fact that Jack Smith has not had his stop yet. Thomas has done his. Rich Hayden getting away from these 2 at the moment. Alex Walker looking relatively settled in 4th place. The one thing I'm going to struggle on, and we'll go into Messenger for it as well, is who's going to be driver of the round. So we'll start to give that some thought as we edge towards the 10 minutes to go. We've got 12 minutes remaining on clock at the moment, as Jack Smith has now had his stop, and the gap has come down to 8 seconds. So Thomas Potter not really that much closer. Jack Smith leading from Thomas Potter. Rich Hayden in 3rd. Stops have, I think, all been done. So we're now going to get a handle on how this is going to pan out. So the difference here, Becky, really has been Rich Hayden getting up into a potential podium position. And he's just stuck at it, hasn't he? And sometimes that's what you need to do.
Yeah, great drive. It's picking your moments, trying to keep out of trouble, and if it just so happens people fall off in front of you, you gain a few places doing that as well.
Thrown a couple of overtakes in the mix as well as Rich, which has been good.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been pretty handy for him so far. So it's Ferrari, Porsche, Ferrari. We've got Andy Carroll and John Jones next up. Christian Gillian for the Mustang 7th. Chris Blakey still soldiering on in 8th place. Just ahead of Cat Potter here. Cat Potter could be on for 9th place. Now, I know there's been a few retirees here, but you know, incidents or otherwise, or no incidents, she's up ahead of Lee Piercy in this one. So it's going to be very good points for Cat Potter in 9th place, which will equal her best result. That was race 1 Valencia last week. So again, you know, good result. Had her best result on a street circuit, and now looking for a potential best result here on a more traditional circuit as we get into Chris Blakey passing Christian Gillian. So Chris Blakey picks up another championship point or so, and goes on to another lap with 10 minutes remaining. Gillian wants to return the favour here as they go past the pit exit, has a look up the inside, thinks better of it, comes back out towards the racing line, feels he's got the speed here to get back at Chris Blakey, who clearly is driving a damaged car. So that could alter before the end of this race. Blakey now starting to actually maybe build a little bit of a gap. There is John Jones going out of shot. John in the 639 car. And John running well. Not had my annual visit to the Isle of Wight yet this year. We do need to try and get away down there in the summer. Have a really good sprint actually. I think it's on Sandown front if you're ever over in the Isle of Wight. It's a good time to book a visit down there and see all sorts of manner of cars having a sprint on the seafront down there. It's a really good spectacle, and I think they have a bit of independent British Speedway down there at I can't remember the name of the track, but there is although it's a sort of a bit of a pain for people on the mainland to get to, they do have a pretty healthy motorsport situation going on down there on the Isle of Wight. So whether John goes to any of those events, I don't know. But we go back to the top of the field. Jack Smith, the race leader from Thomas Potter. 7 seconds the gap now, so Thomas has closed in a little bit. Best lap in this race has been with Jack Smith actually. So Jack Smith with a 1:46.5, Thomas with a 1:46.7. And I'll repeat what we said in terms of last week. Now, was that Lee Piercy or Rich Hayden who was off there? Can't see. I think it was Lee Piercy because that's flashing up in white. So Lee has had that issue. Not the happiest of races for him. In terms of the 8 rounds, you can drop your worst score, and the only caveat to that is that you have to attend, all of the championship contenders have to race in the last event of the season at Sepang. So it's not to say everybody has to, because somebody might have to drop out, but you can't drop the last round. That's effectively what we were saying. And I remember having a conversation with Rich Hayden at the final event last year, the VRRC, at Silverstone. He said, that's a good idea. Maybe we ought to do that for VRRC. And I brought it in with effect from this championship to kind of see how it works. Now, Rich Hayden is closing in on Thomas Potter, as we saw from that previous shot. Meantime, Chris Blakey and John Jones potentially going to be engaging in battle here for 6th position. Christian Gillian down behind them. So Blakey's done a good job of getting away from Christian Gillian, and John Jones under a little bit of pressure here. So our podium racer from race number 1 trying to get up into 6th place here with 7 minutes 32 on the clock, and this is going to be probably as good as it gets for Chris Blakey. He's having a go here, Becky.
Yeah, it's going to try to get round outside. Oh, easily done. Well ahead, well before the corner. Nice and easy.
Yeah, nice and safe. John Jones, nice bit of respect for. I think he realised that Chris has got the pace there, and yeah, he might learn something from following him the next couple of corners as well. So John, a regular with us on VRRC, always very consistent. Nice to see him up in P7 here, and actually taking the battle back a little bit to Chris Blakey. Not quite close enough to mount a challenge at this stage, but certainly close enough to let Chris know that he's there. Thomas Potter pops a purple in there actually. 1:38.117 for sector 1 for Thomas Potter. He's too far back to do anything about Jack Smith out front, but he'll be heartened by the fact that he has got that fastest sector, and that's good news because Rich Hayden was closing in on him. So I'm wondering if this is Thomas responding to a bit of pressure, maybe from the timing screen. What do you think?
Yeah, probably can just sense Rich is just closing in ever so slightly. So thinking, right, I've got a little bit left that I can push a little bit more on certain corners. So just get that gap up a little bit more just to give him a bit of security.
What a good driver will have to do. Thomas is trying to edge his way away. Rich Hayden doing the same from Alex Walker's had a decent run in this one as well. Hasn't lost too much ground on Rich Hayden. If Alex gets the P4 here, it will be his best finish of the campaign. As I said, he had 5th at Valencia in race 2 last weekend. And this one, remember, he wasn't in the reverse section. So he's done a very good job here, has Alex Walker so far, as has Rich Hayden, who's sort of sneaking in for his podium interview again, as he did in the back door last week. And it'll be good to have a catch up with him and see what he's got to say. I think we've got to ask him about the contact in race number 1. And I think he's going to have a little bit of a busy time again on Thursday. That's tomorrow, isn't it? Yeah, tomorrow when he watches things back, gets involved in the judicials, Rich Hayden. So P3 for him at the moment. 5 minutes to go for the end of our hour's worth of racing here. We do it all again next week, as I say, on the Le Mans configuration. So we're looking forward to that. Here is Jack Smith, race leader, fastest lap as well, 1:46.588, still lapping consistently, 1:46.888 on his last tour, so no loss of speed for the championship leader, who looks like he's going to make it another double. Remember his 100% success rate in qualifying, which has worked really well for him again. That's the importance of getting on pole and keeping out of trouble in these esports races, and Jack Smith is doing an absolutely super job. Hopefully we'll get a little bit longer to talk to him at the end. No time pressure at the end, so yeah, we can talk to him a wee bit longer, which is good. But Jack away, 7.3 seconds. Let's see what it is. He crosses the line, ekes it out.
Oh,
8.3.
Thomas Potter's just had a spin.
Oh, Thomas. Now, was that the pressure from Rich Hayden? And was that Rich Hayden, or was it? Yeah, it was Rich Hayden, wasn't it? So Rich not showing on the timing screen in P2.
No, I think he's still managed to keep him behind.
Oh, he has. So it wasn't actually.
Was there
it was
Piercy
Lee
going
Piercy,
through?
wasn't it? My apologies
Yep.
to Rich and Lee for miscalling that. I probably need to work on the identifiers for the car. But now we have got pressure from Rich Hayden in 3rd place. He's all over. Well, not all over Thomas, but a lot closer now. I'm guessing that's going to fire up Rich Hayden now, because he's got a podium, but he's got the chance of 2nd place here. Do you reckon there's enough time for him to do it?
Oh, always. There's always plenty of time until you're literally coming out of that last corner. Then it might be a little bit late, but up until literally the last second, plenty of time.
Let's see what he could. Ah, Thomas has gone off.
Yeah.
That's got to be tyres.
Yeah.
Got to be tyres for Thomas Potter. So the flying teapot flying for the wrong reasons off the circuit, but it's all about the recovery for Thomas. He's got back on and he's hoping to stay ahead of Alex Walker for third place. Alex having a good run. So Alex Walker now has got the potential of getting a podium. If Thomas has another off, he might just temper his drive. He's got a choice here. Does he temper the driving to keep the car on track for the remaining 2 minutes 24 seconds, or is he going to try and chase to hold on to the podium ahead of Alex Walker? So interesting times here for Thomas. He might also be thinking about trying to close down on Rich Hayden for P2. So I'm going to put you in this situation, Becky. You're Thomas Potter at the moment. Your tyres are going off. What do? Do you back off to keep third? Do you attack Rich Hayden, or do you back off to defend from Alex Walker?
Speaking from experience, I'd probably back off. I've had it before, lost a place, pushed, tried to get them again, managed to get them, had another spin, and I actually ended up losing a tyre towards the end of the lap. And the annoying thing was I could see the pit lane as well, so I knew I needed to pit. Car wasn't sounding right, wasn't feeling right, and looked at my wing mirror and saw the tyre fly off behind me and thought, kind of need that. So that wasn't, so if I'd known that hindsight, I'd probably try to not overdrive, try to stay calm, keep consistent, and just keep it on the track. And as we say, I think that was a Rich turned round.
Rich Hayden, crashed with the environment, great spot, good explanation there as well. Thomas Potter back up into P2. What circuit was that at, Becky, as well?
That was at Silverstone, so that was coming out of Luffield, and the tyre came off from the earlier spin from overdriving, trying to gain that position back.
Goodness me, rather you than me.
Yeah, worst thing was the back end of the car was still on the track slightly, so luckily everybody avoided me. But it was then the walk of shame back to the garage after the car had been recovered. Luckily, quick tyre change, it went straight back out, and I got a nice souvenir from it as well.
That's good, as long as it's all okay. It's all part of the learning experience, and nicely called there. And so I think it's probably what Thomas did. So he was keeping it pretty cool, and the problem did manifest itself for Rich Hayden, who is away and down. We are counting down to the race win for Jack Smith. He's got 15 seconds to go. Thomas Potter, well, goodness me, down to third, back up into second. Alex Walker is on for a podium here as well, by far and away. Maybe a little bit early to talk about Alex Walker getting a podium, but it could well happen here. So Alex in P3, I'm delighted that we're seeing him in a podium position. Always great to get to talk to a new driver on a VRRC podium, but he's doing a super job. Here is Jack Smith, though, still out front. And
hi, Richard. I'm here if you'd like to know what happened.
What happened, Rich? Very quickly, because I think we're running out of laps for the race leader as well.
Blew my engine.
Oh, okay.
Downshifted too soon.
Mate, sorry to hear that. But,
That's right.
thanks, Rich Hayden, for the update. And
No
Jack Smith goes through. Time is up on the clock, so he's making his way around to a 6th win from 8 starts in the VRRC World Endurance League, and he's still well clear of Thomas Potter. Thomas, of course, last time we checked in time-wise was, I think, about 7 seconds behind. He's had the 2 offs off track, but he's still in P2. Alex Walker in P3. Always a story from the VRRC Racing, and the story today is that Jack Smith makes it another double. It was 100% record in pole and another win for Jack Smith, who maintains his lead at the top of the championship. We've got a little bit of a wait before we see Thomas Potter. Here is Thomas with Alex Walker chasing him down to our next 2 podium drivers. First and second, identical to race 1. Race 2, though, it's Smith from Potter. And we'll find out what the story was. Actually not that far behind now as he goes across the line, and will take P2 as they cross the line. Alex Walker will complete the podium and take 3rd position. from Andy Carroll is going to be in fourth. So Andy gets a decent result at the end of the day as well, despite lots of problems throughout the evening. So a good result for him. Chris Blakey in fifth. John Jones will take sixth place. We're seeing some drivers getting some really decent finishes in this one. John Jones now coming past Christian Gillian to take the sixth position. Great battle between those two. John just gets it from Christian. Lovely dice all the way to the flag with Lee Piercy. Next up, he was in ninth, and Rich with his blown engine in 10th. Whoops. And okay, as the cars come to a halt in one form or another, let's take a quick break. It's podium time, and I can't remember interviewing Alex Walker on the podium. Alex, I interviewed you on the podium before?
No, never been on the podium
Congratulations,
before
mate.
in my life.
Fantastic. Well done. Really great news to get a new driver up onto the podium. Always for me to have a chat. And yeah, just absolutely well done. Tell us about your race.
Yeah, good. Just consistent lapping. I think a few other people had some issues. And I was lucky enough just to be in the right place at the right time, I think.
Yeah, you say
Rich
luck,
was
but you still
really
got
quick,
to drive
so-
the thing round. Yeah. And you know, it looked like you were. I mean, you also closing on Thomas. You weren't that far away from Thomas at the end there as well. So yeah, really good result. What was the what was the story for race one? How did that go for you?
Similar. I think I finished 4th or 5th, so it was similar kind of thing. I'm not used to being so far up the grid, so but I love Monza. It's probably one of my favourite circuits. So
Right.
I just jumped in and lapped all week. So practice makes perfect, I guess.
I mean, you say that you're not used to being this high up, but if we just look back, so at Vegas first week you were 8th and 6th. You know, comparable results. Second one reverse grid. You know that only gave you another 2 places or whatever. You were 8th fastest off the front, so that was a good strong run. Brands 12th in the opening race. Valencia last week 12th, but 5th again in race 2. And here you are now with a maiden podium. So you know it's you're talking about luck, but when you're consistently getting best finishes, that's more than luck.
Yeah, well, to be honest, the biggest change I've made since the last couple of seasons and this one is Jack, the guy who's come P1. He's been coaching me, so I've been working quite hard on actually getting better in the sim overall. So I think maybe it's just, I mean, you might be right. Maybe it's not luck. Maybe it's just a bit of hard work, and finally things are starting to pay off.
I was a golfer, wasn't it? It said the more I practice, the luckier I get.
That sounds about right to me.
It is true. It is about putting in work, isn't it? And great that Jack is coaching you. I don't know too much about your background, Alex. Are you a real world racer or involved at all?
Last couple of seasons I've been racing a lot of endurance stuff, so Enduro KAs and the C1 Endurance Club. But I'm off this season because we're sorting out buying a house, so kind of took priority.
Yeah, that's understandable. Oh, so you got the C1 Endurance in common with Becky then, our co-commentator today.
Yeah, I raced there last season with one of my sponsors. They're great cars, so I just really enjoyed the whole thing, and the paddock's great too.
It's a good event. Always enjoyed being around them. I don't think I'm at any more this year. We did the 24 hours, but I don't think I'm at any more, which is a pity. Might go along and watch, but I don't think we're filming any more for this year, which is a shame. But absolutely mega to have you on the podium. Any thank yous or any thoughts looking ahead to next week at Le Mans?
I'm looking forward to Le Mans. It's a quick circuit. I've not really raced there before, so looking forward to it. And a big thanks to obviously the two sponsors on the car, Riva Architects and EP Comps, and obviously Jack for making me faster.
Good man, Alex. Well done. What a pleasure to welcome you to the podium. I hope it's the first of many, mate, that we get to talk. Alex Walker, well done on P3.
Thank you very much.
Oh, that's good news, isn't it? And let's have a word with, I think, someone who probably didn't think the race was particularly good news, but it worked out kind of okay in the end. Thomas, you had a couple of offs. Was it tyres?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think I can speak for myself for all the Porsche drivers. I mean, everyone had tyre wear, but like I think the Porsches were worse. As well, unlucky for Daniel Heaps and Chris, who obviously had some tyre issues as well in the end. But yeah, as many tyres, managed to keep home in second, and I had pace. Obviously, I had fastest lap off Jack Smith again, which was really good. But well done to Alex and Jack, as well as Rich as well. Unlucky that your engine blew off.
It was a shame. Obviously, co-coms this week was Becky Aparicio. I was asking Becky what her racer perspective was, having been perhaps in your shoes, you know, there. What was your strategy when Rich was in front and obviously you had Alex Walker behind? Were you thinking, yeah, let's get the car to the end, or were you pushing to try and catch Rich, or just pushing to try and stay ahead of Alex, or just keeping it on an even keel to get to the flag in a podium position? What was the strategy?
It was focus on the car in front, ignore the car behind, focus on the car in front, and just send it, because I didn't really want to come home in third. But so yeah, I'm happy with second.
It's good points again, isn't it? You know, not a bad meeting for you again.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think this moves up to second in the championship, I'm sure, so then it's just Jack Smith to chase down now.
Yeah, we'll have to look at that before we go. So I'll have a look at the championship points before we sign off for the evening. So sort of juggling the phone. I see we've also already got the server up and running for practice at Le Mans. Have you done events there with us before?
Well, I was meant to do one, but then I had massive PC issues, which was unfortunate. So I actually haven't right now, but I think I will be getting practice in later. But well, it's not right now because I'm currently on Roblox, waiting for my.
Do you guys never get off the games in one form or another?
No, absolutely not. I mean, I'm practicing about 2 hours a day, and then as soon as that comes off, I go straight on with my friends either on Rocket League. We play COD on Roblox and stuff like that.
Goodness me, it keeps you going, doesn't it? Well, Thomas, well done again on a great evening's racing. Sadly, won't see you next week because I'm away, but we've got Scott Woodwiss back with us next week at Le Mans. But I will see you, all being well, for the round at Spa. I'll definitely be on for the round at Spa. I'm hoping you will be too. So be safe in the meantime, and well done on the podiums today.
Absolutely. Could I say a quick thank you to all my partners once again? Everyone in Mackay has been a massive help. But obviously, Caton, this race was dedicated to you guys, especially James's son Ralph. But also Huey, who came last night and is going to help me with the data on my car so I can see. Well, I'm probably going to end up sending this one over because I need help with them tyre wear. But he's been a massive help and I really appreciate it, as well as all my partners on board, and Jack Smith and Alex Walker for getting on the podium as well.
Nice one, well done, Thomas. Great sign off as ever. He's being a consummate professional now, is Thomas, with his podium interviews and thank yous. And sounding as natural as ever, which is great. So well done, Thomas. And also well done to our double winner. And really, we have to give driver of the round once again to Jack Smith. Well done, Jack. Congratulations.
Oh, cheers, mate. Yeah, but it's a real good effort in that race. I think I got a number of start again. I genuinely do not know how I got that launch. It was like on the edge of just slipping, but it wasn't, and it just went, and I was baffled. I was laughing as I pulled off. I was just like, that's unreal. That's the best start I could have possibly done, ever. So, and then threaded the needle between Daniel and Thomas. So I thought Thomas was going to squeeze me, but he left just the right amount of room, and I wiggled my way through. And then it was just chasing down Chris, and then just trying to keep on the black stuff, really.
Yeah, you did a good job getting into the lead. Did I miss the memo on what was reversed? Because I thought we were going for a full reverse, and then I think you started in 5th or 6th?
No, I think there was a little bit of a technical, but
Okay.
yeah, but it's just one of them things, isn't it? You know, me and Thomas weren't really complaining. We were like P4, and I was just like, am I looking at the wrong car? But no, I sat in mine, and there was a.
If it had been a full reverse, then there could have been some damage, couldn't there? Really?
Yeah, it could have been a lot worse than what it was at the start of that race. So yeah, I think it was a little bit of a silver lining, to be honest. But yeah, we'll take it. It was a good start. Still a little bit of a entertainment at the start there for the first 8 minutes, and then it was just trying to keep it on the track, because yeah, it was really sketchy in the last few bits of a stint. The car was just wiggling all over the place. I had a really big moment at Parabolica, and that nearly ended my race. So yeah, it was not as easy as it seems for the Ferraris. But yeah, it's just one of them. It was a really fun circuit, and yeah, we had a really good time out there today. So yeah, cheers to all the guys I raced as well. You guys they left so much room. I thought I was gonna get like shuffled out, but no, it was really really clean. Yeah, Daniel, Chris, Thomas at the start. It was brilliant racing. So yeah, thanks to all you guys, and well done on your results and everything.
Yeah, well done to you as well. You probably heard Alex saying thank you to you for your coaching, which has gone down well. I know when we spoke earlier in the year, you were looking to try and get opportunities with race teams, and pinged out on social media. I think it's sometimes easier to get that sort of contact face to face rather than online, as good as online is. But did you manage to hook up with any teams yet, or should we put another call out for teams to get Jack Smith involved with?
Yeah, got a few opportunities. An opportunity to drive, hopefully, sometime this year with 750 Motor Club, which would be really cool. Got a new car to shake down, which would be a lot of fun. That's Dave from DK Power. He's a gent. He's letting me drive his car for him. I was just like, you know what? I'll take it. It's a really good experience as well. It's a brand new car, so setting it up, it's going to be a whole experience, and I'm chief data engineer for that. So yeah, double role for that one, which will be really fun. And Dave learns from me, and I even learned from Dave. Dave's got so much real life experience that you really learn a lot from somebody with that much experience. So it's going to be good. A couple of opportunities in the MX5 Super Cup as well, which I'm going to try and get a hold of. And yeah, starting my own driver coaching thing as well. I
guess that you're odds approved and stuff like that. When did you do your odds test? Was that a while ago?
So the driver coach is just on the sim at the minute, but
okay.
I think getting an odds coaching license would be mega as well, because then I can branch out to the real world. But there's a lot to work on. A lot I want to do. A lot of things I spoke to Rich today that I have planned. So yeah, we just need to get on with it, really.
Are you allowed to say who you're doing with Super Cup?
Do you know Ollie Hall?
Yeah, I know Ollie. Yeah.
Yeah. So I know Ollie through a friend of mine, and yeah, I know Nigel who runs his. He's got a few cars, so yeah, I got a few opportunities there to go down and just do some free work on the weekends, just to get my name in there, and show everyone what I've got. So yeah, it's a good opportunity there. But yeah, it'd be really cool.
That's good. Yeah, Ollie's doing well this year because he's moved up from being the clubman champion from last year and getting overall podiums this year in Super Cup. So
yeah, he's doing really well.
Yeah, and he's always a good guy to interview. I think it was something to do with Top Gear, wasn't he, as well? The first time he was out was Top Gear were filming at Cadwell when we were presenting, and we were told not to mention Top Gear at the time, which was fine because they wanted the exclusive on the stuff they were filming. Yeah. But yeah, he's moved up and on really quickly. Oh, it's a nice opportunity, Jack. So
yeah,
that's great. But, yeah, so well done again. It's Scott will be interviewing you next week, so. I'm sure he'll probably be tuning in and watching, because Scott, I know, is a stickler for prep, so he'll know how well you've done tonight. And looking forward to Le Mans, I guess.
Yeah, Le Mans is it's a favourite of mine. I really like Le Mans. I've had a few 24-hour races there on the sim, so it's one I hold very dear to my heart. It's a circuit I just love the flow of it. It's just mega. So I can't wait to be racing these around here. I'm sure the races will be really good as well. Just quick shout out to everyone. Obligatory, of course. So everyone at the hop cabin, they're all down there at the minute. I had a phone call from my mum earlier about Ollie. It's really big shame about Ollie today. I'm gonna have a debrief on Saturday, get everything sorted, reset his PC, do the whole lot. I'm gonna make sure it's all good for him for the next few rounds. Shout out to everyone at DK Power, Zandvoort Motor Services, Mike, who's prepping the M3 that's coming up soon. Shout out to all you guys. Shout out to Sherburn Run MT Centre. And shout out to my girlfriend who's watching as well, sending me a message straight after the race. She's an avid fan, so yeah, shout out to you.
You can name check her as well. So it's free to say her name.
Yeah. Yep, Liv is watching at home. She's an hour and a half away at the minute, so yeah, we're going on holiday soon, which would be really nice. So yeah.
Oh, where are you going? Anywhere nice?
Yeah, we're off to Florida, so it'd be Liv's first time in America as well, which would be really funny. We're gonna take a picture before and after of going into Walmart, which would be an experience. So, yeah, it'd be really fun. Yeah, doing Florida, going with my parents and going with Ollie as well. So yeah, it'd be a really fun trip.
Okay, does that mean you're missing rounds, or is that after the championship?
Yeah, so I thought I'd get all the points I can before I leave. So yeah, it'd be I'm not sure whether it's 1 or 2, but I will double check. And but yeah, I'm just trying to make the most of it whilst I'm here.
Oh, right. Well, it's bad for us because we'll miss you from the racing, but I'm sure a few of the other drivers would be sighing, have a sigh of relief.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, in a way, I kind of feel bad. Like, I'm just like rocking up and then winning and leaving and not elaborating. But I'm offering my coaching services and everything. There's opportunities and stuff. So I want to make everyone. My goal as a coach is to make everyone as fast as me, if not faster. That's just my goal. That's what I'm working with Alex as well.
That's really good, Jack. I mean, and to be honest, nobody resents you being there because somebody somewhere is always going to be the target. That people are aiming for to try and be as good as, and whatever championship it is, whether it's Ash Sutton in British touring cars or like Deegan Fairclough in F4 last year, just the 2 championships that I work with. That's the name of the game. But no, we're always great to have you here and doing the stuff. And I know Thomas wants to beat you fair and square, so as do the others. And
honestly, I thought this race. Yeah, for this race, I thought Thomas was going to absolutely wipe the floor. I was so convinced. He'd done so many laps. I was just like, there's no way I'm going to be able to keep up with this. He's going to be so consistent in the race. And I must have just gotten lucky. I had a few moments where it could have ended my race, and a couple of moments where I could have lost so much time. But I just got lucky in catching it, and it was a lot. But yeah, I'm hoping at some point me and Thomas can really have a head-to-head, full-on race, full race battle. I'm really looking forward to that. And I think I'm just pushing Thomas that little bit faster every single race. So it's really good to see him just, he's come on so far since I've seen him start racing at VRRC. So it's really good to see him right at the front and chasing me by hundredths, if not beating me in practice. So yeah, it's really good to see.
Nice one, Jack Smith. Well done. Congrats. Always a pleasure having a chat, and we'll look forward to catching you in a couple of weeks. And if I don't, if you're away, have a great holiday. But well done again, our winner of 2 races, driver of the round as well, Jack Smith. Congratulations.
Nice one, Richard. And cheers to you guys for doing the stream. Cheers, Steve, for broadcasting. And yeah, nice to see you too, Becky. Nice to have a different commentator in the booth.
And with
nice
that,
to meet you, Jack. Well done again.
Becky, thanks for joining us. I hope you've enjoyed it today. Thank you ever so much for joining us, and safely say that we'd love to have you back with us again. We like to. One of the things we're trying to do is get new commentators involved and invite you all back as well. So if you'll come back and join us again, that would be great.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You call me, I'll be here.
Fantastic. Thanks ever so. Have you enjoyed it, by the way? I guess you have.
Yeah, it's been really good. Yeah, it's been a new experience to get used to, but no, it's been a lot of fun, and actually some great racing going on there as well to watch and attempt to commentate on. But I'll hopefully get a bit better, a bit more used to it.
No, you did absolutely brilliantly. So we chipped in when you needed to, and yeah, as I say, you get more and more used to it as you go along. So it was a really good start. So thanks ever so much for that, and wish you and your other half all the best till we catch up again. I'll drop you a note about maybe getting involved with the VRRC at some point, and we'll try and get you back in the racing arena at some point. But thanks again for joining us, and thanks to Steve for a great job on the direction. Thanks for Rich for chipping in, and sorry you blew your engine, mate, but hopefully he'll be back next week, chap.
I'll be back.
Good stuff. Pleased to hear that. Le Mans next week. So the French flag is flying, and that will be with Scott Woodwiss. In the meantime, I can tell you that the championship is still led by Jack Smith. He probably didn't need to be a math magician to work that out. Thomas Potter has got into P2, so he's done his sums as well. Oliver Gibson third, Andy Carroll fourth, and Chris Blakey and Lee Pearcey, with Alex Walker now up into 7th place. So from me, Richard, John Neal and Becky Aparicio, thank you very much indeed for watching. Be nice to each other. I'll see you in 2 weeks, but don't forget to join us next week for Scott Woodwiss at Le Mans.
Between the two of them.
The inside of Coates.
Marcus gets too heavily involved.
And that's Whitehead and Coates.
Woo!